Yo, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. So this video, what we're going to do in this video is just touch on the facts of the case. We're going to do a quick rundown for everybody who is just interested in the reported facts, not the nothing burgers or the speculation, not the what could have happened, may have happened, what people are speculating happened, including me, but just the timeline of events. That's what this video is just going to be touching on, and we're going to be following this document just to help us make a way through it, which is going to take us from the beginning just up to a couple of days ago, because as we know, at the moment, there is nothing real new. But I know there's some people who are just starting to follow this. There's some people who haven't followed it that closely. There's people that don't know a lot about what is right and what is not so right. So let's just clarify those things. So we're going to jump over to here, and this is the Idaho murders timeline, what we know about the slayings of 4 students. And we're just going to have some dates. Obviously, we know who the students are, so we don't need to go through that. If you're not 100% sure, check in the description. It's got the names and ages of the 4 victims who were sadly murdered at their off-campus home back sort of mid-November. Now, Saturday, November 12th, Goncalves' final Instagram post at 8:57 p.m. Goncalves posted a series of cheerful pictures on Instagram with the caption, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day." In one of the photos, Mogen sits on Goncalves' shoulders and Chapin and Kernodle stand next to them smiling. This is a picture of all of them together. There were some other people within that picture, but these are the 4 victims. That night, Mogen and Goncalves hung out at the Corner Club, a downtown bar at 202 North Main Street, while Chapin and Kernodle went to a party together at the Sigma Chi house at 735 Nez Perce Drive on campus, according to police. Saturday, November 13th, 2 victims spotted at Grub truck. So this is the food truck video that we've pulled apart. There's loads of videos out there. I've covered it. There's been some people who have covered it extensively. But Mogen and Goncalves were captured on a Twitch live stream at 1:41 a.m. at the Grub truck in downtown Moscow, where they ordered carbonara and chatted with people nearby. A man wearing a hoodie standing there then became the subject of intense online speculation, but police later said he's not a suspect. Remember that we're going back to November 13th here, and this would have been early on in the investigation that he was said it was not a suspect. We've subsequently come to find that that is Jack S. And there's been lots of videos on Jack S. I've covered Jack S. There's been some other mention of him. So, hoodie guy, Jack S. A sorority drinking service got them home at around 1:56 a.m. according to police and family. Chapin and Kernodle returned home from Sigma Chi about 1:45 a.m. The 2 female roommates who survived the attack returned home from their night out at 1 a.m. and didn't wake up until late the next morning. Now, that's obviously going to be according to them, because they're the only ones who can tell anybody what time they woke up. So that's important to understand. Olivia Goncalves told Inside Edition that her sister, Kaylee Goncalves, called her ex-boyfriend Jack DeCure, which is Jack D, 7 times between 2:26 and 2:44 a.m. Police have cleared him as a suspect. Now, Jack D is the prime suspect for many people, myself included. He's obviously innocent until proven guilty, but there has been some texts that have come out, and I've heard that he had been contacted by Kaylee about the dog. It would seem that there was a statement made, we share a dog together. Whether there was a code in that, I do not know, but it seems that they really want to get hold of Jack, or someone was wanting to speak to Jack's phone, contact Jack's phone. The murders themselves. So the 4 victims were stabbed to death with a fixed blade knife between 3 and 4 a.m. on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the home, according to police. The murder weapon has not been recovered. The surviving roommates summoned friends to the house because they believe one of the second floor victims had passed out. Now, there was some confusion around this. It says a call to 911 was placed from one of the surviving roommates' phones at 11:58 a.m. from inside the residence, reporting an unconscious person. Police said multiple people spoke to the dispatcher, which I've done a couple of videos on the 911 call. If you go back, it was the first one I did with the 911 call in the thumbnail. That sort of explains that scenario, and the more that comes out, the more that does indeed sound plausible. And what we're saying is that the two survivors found the scene and freaked out. One of the survivors had picked up the phone, started to call 911, and had ran out and collapsed during that call. The surviving roommate was also outside in hysterics. Now, someone picked up the phone that had been dropped by the survivor who had passed out and concluded that call. So they had said, look, I've just come to a house, someone's passed out on the floor, which was referencing one of the survivors, and that's why there's some confusion there. And that's why it says multiple people spoke to the dispatcher. They basically were passers-by who saw the commotion outside and finished that call. At 2 p.m. Sunday, the university notified students of the homicides and told them to shelter in place, which takes us to Monday, November 14th. Conflicting accounts. Mayor Art Betch told the news outlet that the slangs were a crime of passion before backtracking in a statement to Fox News Digital, saying that this was one of several potential motives being probed by investigators. Probably he was obviously pulled over the coals for that. Police said they did not believe there was an ongoing risk to the community based on information gathered during the preliminary investigation. Tuesday, November 15th, there was backlash from the community. In another statement, police told the public that this was an isolated target attack and there was no imminent threat to the community at large, which we know that then was backtracked. Moscow residents, students and victims' families complained about the limited and contradictory information being released by public officials. Wednesday, November 16th, new details emerge, which is when at a press conference, Moscow Police Chief James Fry revealed to reporters for the first time that there were two female roommates at home during the horrific attack and they were unharmed. Fry did not identify the 911 call or offer an explanation for the call. Coming in more than 8 hours after the slangs, there were no signs of forced entry, he added. He walked back earlier assertions that the crime posed no ongoing danger to the community. We do not have a suspect at this time and that individual is still out there. He said, we cannot say that there is no threat to the community and we have stated, please stay vigilant. He added that the FBI and Idaho State Police are assisting in the investigation. Thursday, November 17th, the coroner releases autopsy findings. This caused huge ructions. The student's cause and manner of death were officially ruled homicide by stabbings in a press release issued by the Tar County coroner Kathy Mabott, Big Mouth, which it seems that she had actually gone on to tell one of the victim's sisters graphic details about injuries, by the way. She said the victims were likely ambushed in their sleep with a large knife and each had multiple stab wounds. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, suggesting they woke during the attack. There were no signs of sexual assault. Friday, November 18th, police share aerial map. Police released an aerial map plotting the final movements of the four victims from the evening of November 12th. Time of their murders, police also asked the public to submit tips and surveillance footage. Takes us to November 21st, where the police dismissed potential connection between skin dog and murders. I'm not sure that was correct in what they did. It said an Australian shepherd found skinned and filleted 3 weeks before the killings isn't related to the homicide. Police said detectives also revealed for the first time that Goncalves' dog Murphy was inside the home when the students were killed. So some of you will not. I know there's been a lot of people who said, well, where was the dog? Where was the dog? It was confirmed the dog was actually inside the house. Now, where inside the house? That's the question. November 22nd, did Kaylee Goncalves have a stalker? Police in the press release that they pursued hundreds of pieces of information related to this topic and have not been able to identify or verify the identity of a stalker. Detectives later said they looked into an incident in which a man had followed Goncalves around a store in mid-October, but called it an isolated incident. That was addressed. We've all got our thoughts around the stalker situation. In 1999, double stabbing in nearby Pullman, Washington, and 2021 double stabbing in Salem, Oregon, do not appear to be connected to the King Road murders. This is when people were showing the similarities between these cases, and that was on Friday the 25th that they said there was no connection. November 29, vehicles towed from the crime scene. Now, bearing in mind how long has passed here, these cars sat outside in the public access to these vehicles, and were towed from the crime scene not until November 29th. And they're actually then put in another public compound. It wasn't even an enclosed and secure compound. So these vehicles, pretty much the entire time, public has had access to them, so they would have a field day in court with that. November 30th, people cleared as suspects. Hundreds gathered at a vigil for the University of Idaho students and the families, and addressed the community in heart-wrenching statements. Steve Goncalves, Kaylee Goncalves' father, revealed for the first time that she and Mogen were sleeping in the same bed when they were stabbed to death. Meanwhile, the lack of coherent message from public officials sowed further confusion. Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson said one of the victims was undoubtedly targeted in an interview. And hours later, the Moscow Police Department called Thompson's comment a miscommunication and said that they had not officially deemed the murders a targeted crime, appearing to walk back again their earlier assertions. The next day, police clarified that they continued to believe the attack was targeted. Police also released a list of people they do not believe are involved in the crime. 2 surviving roommates, the man at the Grub truck surveillance footage, the driver who took Mogen and Goncalves home, Goncalves' ex-boyfriend, Jack D., any individual at the King Road home when the 911 call was made, and the 6th student on the lease who had moved out months earlier. There we go. December 5th, victim's father concerned about police missteps. Steve Goncalves, who has been vocal throughout, as you know, told Fox News Digital that the family was frustrated over the police's lack of transparency and the progress of the investigation, which undoubtedly he's going to be. Whatever they're doing, if it isn't concluded, any of the family are going to be frustrated. There seems to be confusion everywhere you look, Goncalves said of the probe. It's just absurd that the kind of stuff that's going on right now. He expressed dismay over how quickly police had cleared many people as suspects and dismissed potential connection to other crimes. They've messed up 1 million times, he said of investigators. There has been a lot of questions on how certain people were cleared so quickly, especially as some of them, can only use that they was asleep as their alibi, I suppose. Don't know, I was asleep. Police asked the public to help tracking down a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra spotted near the crime scene around the time of the murders. Now, if you head over to the Pascal Show, he's got some information on there regarding they have found a crashed Hyundai Elantra. Maybe not the same one, but from what I can see of his post on another platform, that vehicle was connected to an LLC that was connected to the house with which the victims lived in. So it might be worth heading over to the Pascal Show, checking out his live that he did about 4 or 5 hours ago from this. So later on, it was a few hours ago, today anyway. But yeah, there's some information in there about that car. But this seems to be the hot topic at the moment. There was a car, white Hyundai Elantra, seen in the immediate vicinity around the times of the murders, and that subsequently pissed off disappeared like a fart in the wind. Investigation believe the occupant or occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case, police said in a statement. There's actually been some backlash now saying that the police knew about this vehicle early on and they've left it kind of 3 weeks to get the public involved. I don't know how true that is, when they did exactly find out about this car, but if it was, in fact, a few weeks ago that they found out about it, that's disgusting. Monday, December 12th, Steve Goncalves describes daughter's injuries, calls police cowards. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Stephen Goncalves said the victims had big open gouges and called police cowards for not sharing more information with the public. They may have individually died from the exact same thing, being stabbed, but there are more details, he added. They're not even close to matching, which again points to that targeted feeling. On December 12th, the Goncalves family, along with their newly hired attorney, Shannon Gray, met with police and other officials in Moscow to share their concerns over missteps in the investigation. Tuesday, December 13th, cops pull hours of footage from gas station. Detectives collected 8 hours of surveillance video from the gas station in Moscow where a clerk saw a white sedan pass at 3:45 a.m. On the morning of the murders. So this kind of disputes the claim that police potentially had this information 3 weeks prior. So I don't know where that came from exactly. But like I say, that is news reports at the moment stating that police have waited before releasing that too long. Clerk told Fox News Digital she had been reviewing the tapes a little bit at a time over the past few days, looking for clues in her downtime. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. They were looking for the car and they've come across the car in this video. So yeah, I suppose it could point to the fact that perhaps law enforcement did indeed have that footage weeks ago. So again, you have to ask, why wouldn't you release it to the public a lot sooner? December 18th, new video shows 2 victims and a man before the murders. A Facebook group dedicated to the Idaho murders exclusively shared haunting surveillance footage with Fox News Digital that showed Goncalves and Mogen hours before they were killed. The best friends are walking in downtown Moscow with a man who looks like the same student in a hoodie seen in the video moments earlier standing near them when they ordered pasta from the Grub truck. And as a lot of you will know now, that was in fact Jack S., who was the hoodie guy. They mentioned an Adam during a conversation with him. Adam is a friend of Jack D, is also a bartender at the bar that they went to. So that's all we know at the moment. They're looking for a car. There's some new footage that's come out. There's a lot of people with questions over their heads at the moment. There's a few people, what their only alibi can potentially be that they are asleep. A lot of connections to this property. There's stuff coming out all the time. But as we stand here today, what you've just listened to there is pretty much the only factual information. That is the actual timeline that takes us pretty much up to now. And there we have it. Let's hope in the days to come this case gets something that starts putting these pieces together. But for now, that's me. I just want to clear that up for those of you who are not completely up to date. For some, you'll have already known a lot of this information. For that, I do apologise, but I hope some of you at least found it helpful. And until next time, take care.